Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I want to talk about the series that I want to catch up on. So recently I posted a video about the series that I want to start. Those are series that I haven't even started yet. This video is about series that I've started and want to catch up on because they are not yet completed as of the filming of this video. And then I'm also going to be posting a video later on the series that I want to finish that are completed series, so stay tuned for that. So the first series I want to catch up on is the Nevernight Chronicles by J. Kristoff. As of the filming of this video, the second book is the only one out. The third one is going to come out in the fall, and I plan on reading the second book right before the third one comes out and then immediately finishing the series. I've heard that the second book has a very big cliffhanger, and I just don't want to do that to myself, really. So I just plan on kind of marathoning or closely reading those two books. I might read God's Grave in like August and then wait for the last book to come out. But I really enjoyed Nevernight. I know, after it took me so long to read it, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. The next series I want to catch up on is The Expanse by James S. A. Corey. This is a large sci-fi series, more of a kind of space opera-y. I'm not really sure how they classify different sci-fi at this point because it feels more intricate to me than fantasy, although some people disagree. But this really reminds me of Mass Effect for a lot of reasons, and I just really enjoy this series. I have the third book on my TBR shelf, so I do plan to get to it before the end of the year, as per my goals, and there are a number of other books. I think there's 6 books out in the series, I want to say. So I have a lot to catch up on, but it is one of the series that I do want to catch up on. And I do plan on eventually watching the show after I'm caught up a little bit more, even though I know the show hasn't gotten to those later books. I just want to read more of the books first. Then we have the Gellin Bastard series by Scott Lynch, the first book being The Lies of Locke Lamora, which I talk about a lot on my channel, but this is the third book in the series, The Republic of Thieves, and the fourth book is not yet out, although it's rumored, although it's been rumored a lot, to be coming out this year. So I do plan on being able to catch up on this series, and this is one that I am planning on reading this year as well, so I'm hoping to be caught up by the end of the year. The next series is The Tiger's Daughter by Kate Arsenault Rivera. The second book is out right now, and the third book is coming out I believe in the fall or the winter of this year. This is a epic fantasy that is inspired by Eastern Asian culture and folklore, and it features 2 female warrior women who are in love with one another. And this book, I think, features a like going into the underworld type premise, so I've been wanting to get to it, but at this point it's been a while since I've read The Tiger's Daughter, although I talk about it all the time. So I kind of want to reread The Tiger's Daughter and then get to this. We'll see what I decide to do. But this is a series I'm very much looking forward to continuing and then finishing when the last book comes out. Then we have Shatter Me by Tahada Mafi. This series was finished because it was originally a trilogy. Now it's going to be, I think, a 6-book series, but Restore Me is already out, and I think Destroy Me is the second book in this like second trilogy sort of. So I do want to catch up, but the thing is, and the reason I haven't, because people have asked me, I do want to reread Unravel Me and Ignite Me before reading Restore Me, because I want to get like back in the world. I feel like if I jump into this after 3 or 4 years of not being in the world, I'm just not going to care that much. So I want to re-immerse myself in all the feelings and then get into this series and finish it up. Then let's get into some graphic novels. We have Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This was the original graphic novel series that I first started. I read the first 5 volumes, which I do own, and then just kind of gave up on it. It was getting a little slow at points and whatever, but I still want to continue with this series. I just kind of stopped reading graphic novels for some reason, which is sad because I love them. There's some more graphic novel picks on this list of series I want to catch up on, but this is still ongoing, I'm pretty sure. It's a very long science fiction graphic novel series that kind of features 2 star-crossed lovers from different races that are at war that have a baby together, so now everybody is trying to hunt them down, and I just love it so much. And I love the art style and everything, so I do want to catch up on this. It's been a long time. I think it's been like 3 years since I've read this series, so I do want to get back to it and get caught up. Then we have The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. The second book is out, and we have a title for the third book, but it is not yet talked about being released yet. So I don't really want to catch up until we have a release date for the third book, but this is, as many of you probably know, an epic fantasy series that follows the story of our main character Quoth and how he got to be who he is as this famous bard within this world and warrior and everything. So I love this first book so much. I don't know if I'm going to need to reread this first book because I remember a lot of it so clearly, even though I read it a couple years ago. So I do want to eventually get to the second book, The Wise Man's Fear, but I don't want to read 1,000 pages and possibly forget it before the third book is released, so I'm just holding off, but it is a series that I do want to catch up on. Then another graphic novel pick, we have Descender by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Egan. This is about a science fiction series. I really like science fiction graphic novels for some reason. It's a science fiction series and it follows this little robot that wakes up in a world where other robots, alien robots, have come and basically destroyed the world, so then robots were destroyed, and he's a little companion robot. He's a little boy and he just wants to find his like little family that he was the companion robot of. His boy has now grown up and he's just looking for him, and it like hurts my heart, and he finds like little found families along the way, and I just really enjoy this series and I want to catch up on it. I originally read this for the BookTube SFF Awards a couple of years ago and fell in love with it, and now I want to keep reading it, but I just took a graphic novel break and I need to get back into it. Then we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I believe there's another name for this series, but it's not actually written on here. I think it's like The Folk of Air and something, I think is the name, but it's not on the book. So this second book is already out as of the filming of this video, The Wicked King, which a lot of people really like, and a lot of people said that they love that book even more than this book. This book is very hyped. The series is very hyped, but I had some problems with this first book. I think I'm gonna love the second book. I just haven't gotten to it yet because I don't own it. So I do plan on catching up and then reading the last book when it comes out as well. But this is a Fae series about a human girl whose family was killed by Fae. She was then taken in by those Fae, and then she gets wrapped up in the politics of the world as she gets older. And Fae are Fae, and they do some evil, bad shit, and she gets wrapped into all of that. It's a fun time. The last graphic novel series I want to talk about is The Wicked and the Divine. This is probably my favorite graphic novel series. This is set in a world where every pantheon of gods, at some point, gods are reincarnated into younger human bodies and become like rock stars basically, and like this whole, they become gods but in like more of a celebrity way, and they end up dying within 3 years, and there's this whole like cycle. And you know how I feel about gods and pantheons and everything, and it's so good, and the art is so beautiful, and it just speaks to me on so many levels, and I really want to catch up on it. Like I said, I keep making excuses, but I just put graphic novels aside for a while, and I shouldn't because they're so easy to read, but I just did for a while. So I definitely want to catch up on this series because I love it so much. I put all my books away and then I forgot a couple of other series that I'm going to mention right now. I would also like to catch up on the Too Like the Lightning series by Ada Palmer. Again, there's a name for this series and they're not putting it on the book. Like, why not? I get maybe not putting it on the spine if you decide to change the cover, but like, can you put it on the front? I don't understand. But this is a very weird, interesting, and oftentimes disturbing science fiction world and story that I can't even quite describe, so I will link my review for this book on the screen. This is, I believe, going to be a 4 or 5 book series. I think it's 4. 2 of the books, if not 3 of them, are out, but I know that it's not quite finished yet, so I do want to catch up on the series rather soon because I do feel like some of the details will start to get lost, and I think those details will be important. So this is a series that I would like to continue with in all of its weirdness. And we also have the Imperium trilogy by Claire Legrand. This is the second book, Furyborn, which recently came out, which is why I forgot about it being on my list. But I definitely want to catch up on this series. This is an epic YA fantasy trilogy, and it follows 2 different timelines, 2 characters, 1,000 years apart, whose stories happen to intertwine for various reasons. I find the magic in here very interesting. I also find the fact that the characters are definitely anti-heroes. You're not really sure who's going to end up a hero and who's going to end up a villain. And I also find the villain main character dynamics in both timelines so enticing because Claire Legrand and villain main character dynamics is just like chef's kiss, so good. So I'm definitely looking forward to catching up on this series since this second book just came out. We also have the Sixth World series by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is a urban fantasy series that is post-apocalyptic that takes place within the borders of a Native American part of the United States because most of the United States was destroyed, and in this post-apocalyptic world, Native American folklore and monsters and creatures and stuff are roaming free and are real and are there and just wreaking havoc. So it's a very different urban fantasy series because usually it tends to follow like werewolves and vampires and everything like that, and these monsters and these gods that she is dealing with, and she's a monster hunter, which is pretty typical for urban fantasy, but she's a monster hunter in a different way, these people and these creatures that she comes in contact with have just their own more unique spin on things than you would typically see in urban fantasy, but still has some of that urban fantasy feel that for me feels really nostalgic. Okay, now this is an accurate list. And lastly, we have the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. This is more of a companion series of novels, but it takes place all within the same universe. It's a science fiction series, and it is almost like smaller stories. It's space opera-y, but it's smaller stories of like crews of people and like little found families in space and aliens and everything. So I plan on reading this book either this month or next month because it's one of the BookTube SFF Award nominees. So there's another book outside of this I also have to read, and then I believe I'm caught up. I'm pretty sure she's still writing within this series, this like companion series, so I don't think the series is completely finished, but it just gives me the warm fuzzies and reminds me of Mass Effect, as many sci-fi does. So that is it for all of these series that I want to catch up on that are not completed yet themselves. Comment them below, let me know some series that you want to catch up on, and also let me know if you're excited to see the series I want to finish video. If there's any series also that you like really think I should prioritize catching up on. A lot of these are favorites among BookTube, so it's gonna be a tough choice. You can't say all of them. Tell me which one you really want me to prioritize. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!